Run.
There's just too many lulls.
Cheers.
Not to press record. Cheers.
Merry Christmas year.
Christmassy.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Wait. It'll come out in Christmas. I thought you said New Year's Day. I'm losing it. Yes. It'll be Christmas Eve here.
Okay.
It's a Christmas episode.
Whoa! I forgot my reindeer wig.
Listen to this while you're opening presents with your kids.
They'll love
I'm sure it'll be PC.
Yeah.
PG-13.
We'll keep it.
Yeah. We'll keep it really clean this time. Well.
So you've just composed a song for us, which I inject into the...
Yeah, we've really
audio.
failed at our music production, and I could actually hear myself talking when you were previewing it too. There was like some crazy thing. You couldn't hear me.
It's because it's Chrome. Like your voice is coming through the Chrome window, and I was trying to pipe Chrome directly back into the audio. So it's
that makes sense.
hellscape. Yeah.
I'll upgrade my computer before next episode, and then I'll be able to play stuff.
You're the only one that's allowed to use buttons. You're licensed to use buttons. I'm not.
A license to kill.
How's it going, Mr. Bond?
Pretty good. A little chaotic. Just home life and kids, and I always say kids. Kid. Is it all right to say kids if you're just thinking about your kid? I don't think it makes any sense.
Why not? They feel like plural, even if they're not. So you know.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's got 4 limbs, so that's plural. They're all over the place now.
Yep. You got a mobile one, right?
Yeah, he's like real close to walking. Like totally strong and probably has the balance. He just like little toddly whenever he wants to like stand up. He's unsure.
Cute.
It'll happen probably next year.
By Christmas. By today.
Walking for Christmas.
Awesome. It's a great song, actually. That's a real throwback. Walking Back to Christmas. Is anyone old enough to remember that? Walking backwards to Christmas.
We won't put that in because we'll get taken down. But
anyway,
we can make so much money on our YouTube. We did have a comment this week that I appreciated. I'm sure you're listening right now. Somebody from Poland, I believe. Yeah, no, it's been increasing. There's a slow growth of listeners and viewers, and we're getting a little bit of like the YouTube algorithm every once in a while, where we get we had 70 views on a video recently.
Oh my gosh.
Which is like more than normal. It's like nobody uses it.
The YouTube you're speaking.
It's a long road. 5 years in, we'll have enough listeners to make sense. But we had a commenter on the last episode that said, I started watching on YouTube to maybe boost somehow your views and engagement. My goal for 2025 is to remember to comment on every video. And I said, that's music to my ears.
Thank you.
Windsurfing Poland.
Thank you. Windsurfing Poland. Excellent.
Know your name. So this is the episode of New Year's year review and 2025 looking forward. So we're going to attempt to do a little bit of an organized thing for once. We always have notes, but they're usually just like, what did Justin and Jem think about in 7 days? And I think we both struggled at this. We're both like, how do we think about things intentionally?
Year in review, huh? You first. 2024.
2024, I think in terms of thinking about like biggest impacts of mostly business. I mean, most of these are business thoughts. I think it's I think if I had to rank them, I'd say the biggest impact of the business probably surprisingly was like expanding our printed product line, which I would have never guessed. I'm not saying like it's like a 50% of our business, but I mean, we started out with the dust boot as our like product that used printing, and that was always kind of a surprise to me in the first place. that was as good as it was. And then I was again surprised when people wanted our tool tag tower, because I just made it for myself, thinking like, this is a solution. I don't know how long this will work out for us. Maybe it'll work. And then we've sold hundreds of them this year. In 1 month, we sold over 60, which surprised me. And then we also started selling the 3D printed tags, which we've sold a lot of those. And so we've gone from one Bamboo X1 at the end of 2023, December. So we started basically using it in January this year. And we now have just received our fourth one, and it's currently being named on Instagram. It looks like Dolores is going to win based on the poll. So
Yes.
there's a few people that submitted that one. It's a good name.
It's a great name.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. I got a couple others, but I'll let you have some thoughts.
Hang on. Did I misunderstand? You've only had bamboos for a year? No.
And December 2023 is when you might be right. It might be 2022. Wow, have I just compressed that all into one?
I forgive
I
you.
can find
You've had a child in the same time frame.
Yes. I just swear that Airtable's loading way slower than it used to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like every base, even the small ones. Oh, you are right. So we bought the first one December of 2022.
Phew.
So I guess I know. Bertha was bought a year later in 2023. Anyway, so that kind of ruins my story. Regardless, we've gone from
1 to 4.
2 to 4. And I would say also just like the amount we've used them is dramatically different. Like the volume that we need to be, like they used to kind of sit or we'd have time to prototype on them. And now it's like with our first printer kind of partially down and less productive as normal, it was like we're pretty ahead on some products intentionally, but then some were just like on demand and we like couldn't, it's just starting to get anxious making of like, we're not keeping up. So
it's cool. You see like the videos on the socials occasionally of like some printer farm with like what appears to be hundreds of bamboos on racks and minions running around feeding them. And I always just think like, what the hell are you people printing? Like what could possibly be so popular?
It's a lot of
what
like
crap are you making?
Iridescent eggs and like print in place dragons. And
really?
I just saw somebody printing hundreds of like Stanley tumblers that you put on a key ring.
What the hell?
What? Like, sure, maybe my things, I think of them as more valuable. They're all functional items. But like, I just really don't have any appreciation for printing little tchotchke throwaway things myself. But maybe that's just self-involved. I don't know.
Well, yeah. No, let's not get into that. Let's not offend all our tchotchke printing.
Maybe we have a lot of tchotchke printing listeners. I
understand, like, the funny message on the multicam owners WhatsApp the other day of someone saying, my bamboo's not doing anything. What can I print? Ideas? And I understand that. Oh, house lights just came on at Justin's end.
Oh my God, the show's ruined. Need a new sticky note.
Oh my God, I can see his face.
Crop it out. Mosaic blur. Think the script has a blur feature?
Don sees everything. I can understand the kind of like, oh, my printer's not doing anything. I want to print something.
Right.
And because I've had the same sensation of like, and then I go looking for some random thing on Make a World. Like, what can we print?
In place dragon.
So I understand that thought. But anyway, a couple of people piped up on the chat and someone showed what they've been doing with Gridfinity. And I was like, yeah, I keep forgetting about that. I haven't tried doing any Gridfinity sorting bin stuff. That's
Right.
going to be one of my summer projects. Like having
Right.
just dipping my toes in, understanding what it does. I mean, I understand what it does, but like understanding with my hands. Maybe make some bins, organize something here.
It's pretty addicting. Like
I'm
once you
sure.
get started. I was just deciding whether or not to do Gridfinity or these little, they're called Acro Mill bins, which are
Oh,
just
yeah.
plastic bins. Do you guys have those too?
No, but I've heard about them on the, Instant Machinist
I mean,
world.
it's just kind of a type. I think I'm sure they're all over the world, but we put little lids on them and they're it's really useful in the shop. And I was like, I don't have any storage solution at home in my garage for like little hardware things. And I was like, which to go with? And I was like, I think I just got to go with the off the shelf. I don't want to print for 2 weeks to make enough things for my garage. And then I
for
don't know.
your Milwaukee pack out project at home.
No, that's a different project, but yes, similar. So I'm not going with all the like. That's just for like tool storage in my one closet in my
Come on,
kitchen.
I want to see
It's too expensive. I cannot fill out my garage with Milwaukee tools.
I want to see that like diaper storage in pack out.
I've thought about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're getting enough diapers here soon. That'd be nice. Anyway, we got a little off topic here. What's your top thing of reviewing of the year?
Top thing is getting COVID in February and reading Profit First.
I didn't realize that was the genesis of that.
that has saved the business, like straight up.
Yeah.
If I hadn't have stopped and had that like mental clarity, I don't know that you can say that about COVID, but like having that time.
That's funny.
Right. Reading in the middle of reading that book and just sitting in the fernery with the guinea pigs in a fever state, like going through the business's numbers. If I hadn't have done that, I think we would have lost it, honestly. Like, I think we would have gone past the point of no return from a sort of negative cash flow perspective, because at that point, it was moving backwards so fast. And I don't know that I would have had the like, oh shit moment of like, we've got to stop this right now. So yeah, came back the week after that. No, in that week, I had the discussion with Sarah about downsizing. She resigned over the phone that week, and it just all sort of snowballed from there. So like, yeah, that's pretty big.
It was the first thing on my list as well, and I was just reconsidering what was a bigger impact, and we weren't quite in the same dire situation, but we definitely have been moments of that. So that's my second item, is Profit First, for sure. It's the second biggest impact, I think.
Yeah, that's my year. And then it's really just the recovery process out of that moment from there. And honestly, like, the business is in such a better state now as a result of all the work we did coming out of that point.
Yep.
It was a really hard thing to do emotionally.
Oh God, I bet.
To shrink that hard. Like, we went from 10 staff in January to 4, including me, by March. And yeah, that was huge and hard, and a really challenging thing to do. But looking back on that, 6-8 months later, and just like how much better everything is from a sort of stress, financial, just day-to-day enjoyment point of view. Like, I think it can be easy to undervalue enjoying like your business as a small business owner.
Definitely.
It's pretty nice to be in a spot now where it's genuinely enjoyable and low stress. And I think, like, we finished yesterday. We worked in the morning, got the final orders out the door, tidied up, and then made pizzas and just had beers and played table tennis and croquet in the afternoon, like we
Sunbathe.
sunbathed. And I think that's the first time that I can remember for many years that we've hit that point of the year where we're sort of wrapping up, but all the jobs were actually done as well. Like there's always been like hangover jobs in the past of like, oh yeah, I've got to install that job on the way to the visit my sister at the beach. Like we'll just swing past and drop that off and install that. Blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Whereas yesterday, excluding a couple of customer pickups that are happening today, we're like done. So like, yeah, things are in a good spot. That feels good.
Do you have a decent amount of customers buying gifts?
Yeah, people have been buying crates for partners, vinyl storage crates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I had a missed opportunity last weekend to run like a little last minute incentive of like, hey, we'll ship, these are the crates we've got left in stock. We'll ship these to you this week for Christmas, in time for Christmas. But I missed that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd say, I mean, I've said this a few times, but I think it needs to be reiterated and encouraged. I think the difficulty of what you had to do with laying people off and falling on your sword of your plan of a business not working as you expected. I mean, obviously, at some point, it's like you said, you got to do it or not. But you also get into this like cycle of not, like, you know, I always say firefighting. You get into the firefighting cycle and you can't see through the smoke of like every day to like get that big decision made. And it's so hard to do. So it's amazing that COVID was the answer to that for all the non-clarity that usually has when you get it. But, you know, it's definitely hard to have done and then talked about here. And I think, you know, it definitely helped. I mean, it definitely helped me move in towards something that was more sustainable because, you know, being designers who didn't go to business school, like I think we just stumbled into weird answers, and you even had, you know, help with people that it's still hard to always make the right decisions towards what's right for you, this business, for the people that are here, the market you're in. So definitely laudable. And I think it's hard to make a big change like that when so many things are cemented in place about like how you do things or how your banking works.
Yeah. I've got a poster I made on above my desk here in the office, which is, it's got the number or the monetary value on it of how far backwards we went before we made that hard decision. And it's just it doesn't have a currency attached to it. It's just a number as a reminder. And it's like, it says indecision is expensive. And I think, you know, we went so far backwards because a decision was hard to make. And it's not like I didn't know we had to down. Like, I think at some level I knew what I wanted, but it was that indecision for so long that, you know, cost us so much.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So anyway, well, I'd say we both encourage you to read the goofy book Profit First, listen to it, and I probably need to revisit it, just like I need to revisit Getting Things Done. Yep. But it was definitely a huge, like, there's so much. I've been encouraging another friend to try it out who's wanted to for a while and has similar problems of like managing the big checking account problem and how much, like the thing I was just adjusting was our timing account percentage because it wasn't enough. And I had started off really low, like 1% or something. And I don't know. I mean, it always depends on how much money's incoming, but that's part of the thing you can try to control. You can't always, I don't know if that makes any sense. You know, you can try to make more money, but like you can choose how to hang on to it often, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting. Have you done much percentage adjustment over the year?
Yeah, it's just trickling up and down. It's mostly trying to reduce the OpEx percentage over time because it's still really high, like in the 80s. And the OpEx also feeds our payroll and lease.
Yeah.
I do like a weird dump it in, and then I keep a set amount in the what I call the lease roll, payroll and lease, which is basically a fixed cost for us, which I don't know why. I guess I do it that way. Maybe I should change it, but that's nice. And then I have timing and then capital expense and investment, which is just like 1%. It's really low. And then I try to keep increasing my own pay because it's never been what I'd like it to be or what it really should be. But it really, really matters to be making more money. So that's, also been a trending kind of tracking that through the year. Kind of falls hand in hand with Profit First, and where I started with a mentor over the last year and a half or something like that, and thinking about and tracking different KPIs and watching those go up is nice. Nothing that's like groundbreaking, but it is nice to see a continuous kind of improvement, especially in December here. We had our second worst month ever in the December of 2023. And this month we broke that super early on. I mean, it should have been. It was like $3,000 for product sales. It was ridiculously low. And so it's been a good month, which I was concerned about the same thing happening from last year. And I was like, that was really painful. And honestly, how we got set into the bad beginning of the year where we needed Profit First, because I hadn't been saving money as I should have been. And the normal income flow had just totally stopped in December. So I don't know where I'm going with that.
I've got a bit of a friction point, I think, with my own spreadsheet that I made when we converted to the Profit First system. And it's a great spreadsheet. Laura worked on it as well with her.
Yeah, I use it once in a while.
Her spreadsheet know-how, which far surpasses mine in terms of formulas and stuff. And it's cool, it's great, but it's become quite static. And like, I've hesitated from fiddling with it. Like, I know we've got a few little changes we need to make to percentages, to like the balance between OpEx and materials. And I've had this thing of like, I don't want to mess with it because I might break it, which is so silly because I built it numerous times. Like, I built it like 3 times over when I was making it. And it's just been that.
It's a little complicated. I get that.
Yeah. Where I'm like, don't touch it. That's fine. I'll just do like little adjustment transfers between the OpEx and materials account instead.
I mean, what I did, which wouldn't be really that helpful, is I wasn't quite as needing to like unburden certain things. So like I kind of stripped it back to where I track the distributions, and then with that page, and then the first page of it where it's like kind of the budget, I guess. I kind of mess with that a little bit, but there's a lot of it that was, I mean, you guys have all these weird taxes that we don't have and stuff. So
we've got weird taxes. You've got the weirdest taxes. Come on.
True. Sales to, well, not in Oregon. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. What was, so I've talked about my second thing was Profit First.
Mm-hmm.
What's your second review thing of the year?
Good question.
Anything?
Look, I think the biggest theme is just two things probably. Like coming back to that enjoyment factor of just like funding, like the business had got to a point a year ago where it didn't feel like money anymore. Felt like this beast that I was just feeding. Or much sort of sense of like, this is my thing. And it had sort of grown to a point where, it was its own entity, which honestly was part of the plan. It's like grow a business to be, independent and a team to manage it and blah, blah, blah. But it was not. And so, the contrast between that last, December and now is just huge in terms of sense of ownership. And, wanting to come, a year ago, I was coming to work. I was begrudgingly coming to work basically because I was like, it's basically I'm paying to be here. We're going backwards at such a rate that it's costing me money to come to work and keep this. So that's very different. And what was the other thing? Enjoyment. It's gone. Vanished.
Yeah.
Yeah, will come back to me.
I mean, it's a pretty huge thing, you know. I mean, I would guess if we had to look up statistics that most people don't come back from where you were. Not to like put too fine of a point on it, but I've definitely been flirting with disaster, the way that things were run financially and not saved well enough, you know, kind of always on the edge of too much investment, I suppose, and not enough withholding for the business. But so it's big change.
What about you?
Oh, I was going to say, I keep thinking about this and I don't want to jump too far away from our theme of the day, but have you listened at all to Eric Larson's interview with Intolerance?
No, not at all.
Claire Irons? Oh boy, it's a good one. Good one.
Great.
I think Eric still listens here. Met him again at IMTS. He came running up to me at the current event and I was like, I don't know you. Who are you? Very excited. I don't know. Oh, I do know you. Send him and we message all the time, and I've loved watching his growth of like into the 5-axis world with his new Akuma, but he kind of flips around the conversation with Dylan quite a bit in the interview. I'm like halfway through. It's like a 3-hour one, and it's just really interesting the way he came from like his education to kind of what we did with buying machines that, you know, maybe we shouldn't have, in my case especially. And buy it and they will come, as he said. I've definitely said that same phrase to somebody else. And just where they are now, I won't spoil it because there's a lot of interesting things. But one thing he says that reminded me of this setting was, I think it's so interesting that people are so close to their chest about their business financials, because it's like, and Dylan said, well, I think we're all like embarrassed, or like it's an ego thing. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But also it's like, it's a, I suppose maybe it's cultural. It's just not something that's is shared unless you're a public company, and then you have to share it. But just keep thinking about that. Like, I think you've been more forward about sharing things than even I have, and I think it's good. Other people want to hear that and feel connected and learn from it. So,
yeah, you know, that's always been something I've been aware of. You know, having this platform. Before I had this platform with you chatting every week, you know, I was a religious listener of the BOM, Business Machining podcast. We should probably refer to it by name occasionally. The BOM Johns.
No B at the end.
And that, I like, you know, I am back on that train, by the way. I still listen to it, but like before we did this, that was something that always sort of frustrated me a little bit about the BOM, was that they kept numbers very close to their chest. And I understand why, whatever. I understand the sort of cultural reasons why people do that.
Yeah.
But that was something I always wanted more of. I was like, come on, guys, just give us the numbers. Like, so curious.
Even
so
like machine
intrigued.
costs at times.
Yeah, even being coy about machine costs and investment stuff.
Right.
Which is interesting. But yeah, I do very like, and I find myself still being protective. Like, I didn't say the number before that's on the poster on the wall in front of me because there's some level of shame attached to that. It's like, fuck, that's a big number.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hope we don't come off as like experts in any of these things.
No.
That it's mostly for, you know, the joke is every time, joke/truth is every time. The intention of this for me was somebody to talk to about similar challenges, and maybe there's an interest and we're in different continents, you know, but we face a lot of the same things, and you're a little ahead in some of the business avenues that I am. So anyway, I think my other thing reviewing the year that, I mean, I guess I should probably, I didn't write this down. There's just, if you've listened through the year and maybe last year, you would know that we end up talking about our kids and the challenges of that. And I think that's really understated, and how difficult it is to go from no kids and working kind of as much as I want within reason to respect for my wife and our relationship to no, the nanny is leaving. You need to be home at this time. And that's a really clear, and to be completely honest, the nanny we have is a nanny share with another family. And because we couldn't get into any daycare, there's no daycare available that we could find out of dozens in the city of Portland. We had one offer, we toured it, we did not like it. Not that we're really like snotty about it, it just wasn't organized or clean. And so that might potentially change in the new year, but we only have a couple days coverage a week. So that's been really challenging. It's just really tough to like want to do the best for your kid and your partner, but also like I feel like I don't have nearly enough time to actually work anymore. You know, like you're probably used to that by now, but it's been a big change for me.
Not really. I mean, yeah, used to it at some level, but still like a challenge, sticking point. Like we, in a way, we have the opposite problem is in that we have really good options for like we've got an awesome family daycare person here in town that we managed to get into. There's definitely a bit of like a shortage here as well, but nothing like what you're describing. But we got in with her early and she's been fantastic, and all the kids have been with her in sort of at preschool age for, a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
And, one of them's been at school this year, one's starting kinder next year, and so they're going off out into the world, which means more drop-offs and pickups and stuff like that. But like I have a real thing at the moment of like I got 3 kids now. I don't know how that happened. Whereas like the next 10 years is like this peak time where they actually want to be with us. Like it's the period of their life where they want you and you like they want to be close to you, and like it's also the next 10 years or let's not go even that far, the next like 3 years are going to be really critical to the sort of future stability and success of the business. So like they have this kind of split focus of like, well, where do I have to put energy into both these things, and so how do I split my time? What's fair? What's long term? Does the business matter? Should I just be putting my energy into my kids? Like, yeah, that's a challenge. Like knowing how to do that, and I don't want to end up in a spot where I'm regretting my decisions. And I'm not a regretful person. Like it's very rare that I'll sort of look back and go, "Dang, why did I do that?"
Same, yeah.
But this feels pretty big and important, and like, it's a challenge.
Yeah. Right. So we'll probably be an ongoing theme outside of the theme.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Last item on my list was CNC tooling was a pretty decent impact of, we're not making it. We are working with somebody else to make it, but we have people that are happy with it. And I think a lot of it's, as other sayings go, it's how you use the tooling that I think was always the thing that I felt like we could give advice and help with. And, I'm happy with how it's gone so far. I would like it to grow, and I would like there to be repeat purchases. I think it's always been a thing where it's like I wanted to have people that wanted to keep and needed to keep using something we sold like that. I mean, it's good for business, but it's also like it means that somebody's happy with the product you're selling, so and rely on it. And that was definitely part of the intention. So, it was a thought at the beginning of the year, and we kind of found the right partner, and I'm happy it's there. And I'm really behind. I've started, and the one thing, maybe it was putting this together, these thoughts yesterday, I put together a feed rate calculator that's on our website. I linked it. It doesn't currently have specific tools of ours in the calculator, but it uses all of our chip loads suggestions for basically material and tool diameter and how many flutes there are. And it's pretty cool, I think. I used GPT to make it. And I think my favorite part is you can copy the results to your clipboard and then paste that somewhere, which is pretty fun. I also have a version where it's saved to a PDF, but it got a little wonky, and I was like, we'll scrap that for now. So my next goal with it is to be able to suggest specific tools based on your material and your needs, and then you would click on that. It would take you to the tool you'd buy or have.
Nice. That's cool. There's
Pretty
something
fun.
so magical about copy to clipboard.
It really is.
Still, anytime I make program some function to do that, I'm like, oh yes, magic.
It's pretty satisfying because like I put in a link back to that site, so if you like copied it out, you can remember where it was, and like there's obviously a disclaimer in it that's like numbers are suggestions, start slow and feed faster till optimal.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool. I like that. Like, yeah, it's a cool function putting something like that online. I feel like we don't have the equivalent of that because we're not selling a sort of consumable, maybe. I'm sure there's some equivalent.
Yeah, I don't know what you would.
Yeah.
Your equivalent would be like, I have this amount of wall space, create for me a kit of parts, you know? Like,
Yeah. Or like, I've got these books. How can I store them most effectively?
that'd be cool. Yeah. How many meters of book and how much shelf you need?
Yeah. I love it when customers know that, actually. I ask that question sometimes, like, how many linear meters of books do you have? And they're like, well, check out this spreadsheet. Where
You're probably aware of it. Right. You're probably aware of this, but you can buy, here we would say feet of book. You can buy it as like a set decoration, basically.
What?
And I don't know if they're actual books or they're like false fronts.
A feet of books?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried to do it myself. I just heard somebody talk about it one time. How about you? Anything else on the review side? This might be a longer than an hour show. We might have to figure out how to edit this. It's fine.
Yeah, that's why we always freak out at the 1 hour mark, is because we just don't know how to edit anything over an hour.
Because Descript makes it hard to edit after an hour, and it's like a good cutoff.
Yeah, that's enough for me looking back, I think. I don't know. What else, really? It's been good. Like, I was saying to a friend the other day, chatting on the phone, another small business friend, and he was saying something about how he was avoiding answering some customer email.
Yeah.
And I said, that's
Got a lot of those.
the biggest thing that's changed. Well, not the biggest one. There's a big thing that's changed for me this year has been, I used to be terrified of opening my like Gmail app on my phone after hours or on weekends because of what I might see. And I had all these techniques to kind of like blur my eyes if I had to get into my email and search or check for something else, of like deliberately
like
not
covering the screen.
Yeah, don't look.
Oh my God.
Don't look. It's on the weekend.
What are examples of bad things? You know, like bill collectors or like angry
like
customers.
Just like missing, anxiety around like disappointing a customer of like, oh no, we missed something in that order, and they've sent an email. Like it's not like we had irate customers in the inbox every week, but there's definitely, we used to have more of that, more errors, more issues to deal with. And I don't know, it's partly that I think as part of our like reduction and our simplification of the business and just really focusing on what we're best at and having a smaller product range and a tighter focus and knowing what our like ideal customer is, our ideal job is, and all of that has meant that it's now very rare to get an email which presents an issue that needs solving. And it's partly that I'm better equipped to look at one of those emails and go, cool. It comes back to that ownership thing, a sense of ownership. Like, I am the business again. Like, the business is me and a team, a small team. Anything like that is very much on my plate to deal with, and it's entirely my responsibility to deal with. And because it's just my responsibility, I can just deal with it and jump on it.
Interesting. I would have thought it would have been the opposite. I feel like it was easier to delegate those things when I had that help to like, hey, can you solve this stupid problem with annoying problem that, is around a customer?
Yeah, I suppose whenever those things actually were bad, like we had, years ago, we had an interaction with a customer that went south quickly, was mismanaged by our team member, It resulted in a 1-star Google review, and then it's like stuff that goes that south is like immediately my problem again. It's like, cool, that's back on my plate, and now I gotta fix this. Whereas being sort of fully in control of the process, I feel much more like able to just jump on stuff quickly, solve people's problems. Don't know how I even got onto the inbox, but yeah. Anyway,
it is
I have no
crazy
fear of the
how
inbox. I can open it at any time of day or night, right before I go to sleep, and it's not an issue. It's like,
should you be though?
No, and I'm not going in there to check an email, but it's like, I just want to search for some information. Blah, blah, blah.
I would enjoy an email app that I could filter out my business email based on time.
Ooh,
that would be nice.
That'd be cool.
I'm sure I could just use different apps, but I don't really like to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have thoughts on that when we get to looking forward here. So, looking forward to some form of a 2025 mantra or theme for myself. You have a... I'll let you fill out your list. Maybe you just have them in your head. I don't know. I was trying to simplify it down like Cortex does into some nice single word. Did you not?
I didn't even clock what this was. When we logged on, you were like, we logged on before we hit record, Justin was like, wait, I'm trying to make a song. And I looked down through the show notes and it's like Justin's theme 2025. And I'm like, oh, this must be Justin's notes for the song he's trying to make.
Well, it kind of was. Well, maybe. No.
Didn't even clock that I was
trying to look. I messaged you before and I said, I'm struggling to simplify this into one thought. And hilarious. I kind of have something I'm going to go with, but like, I don't know that I care so much about that. Maybe it'll evolve over time. That's fine. Maybe it won't be an hour and a half long.
How's your son?
It's like we always ask my son, he has this like, it's literally Brahms' lullaby, but Aaron and I couldn't figure out the name of what this little owl plays in his room for the longest time. But he started to learn to hum along with it. So we always say, can you sing your song? And he goes, and he just stops. And I'm like, no, keep going. And it's just like the worst no tone. But it's like the cutest thing. He just sings his song. My theme is Eat the Rich. Oh, wait. No. Theme, kind of, I'm trying to think of how to encapsulate a lot of thoughts. And I think I like the idea of a form of a mantra, which that should be on my list too, is like wanting to start meditating actually properly.
Cool.
It's always was helpful when I did it a little bit. Would be to follow one thing from 2024 is at some point, what was it? I don't remember the first thing, but maybe the most impactful thing was make a video for YouTube about how to cut plywood, which I had always written off as like, this is stupid. Like what? Everybody knows this, right? Like if you have a router, you know how to cut plywood. Like I thought it was like too simplified or like it wouldn't hit the eyes, ears, not the mouth of people that wanted to watch it. That video is blowing away every other video I've ever made in terms of pace and views.
Gold. Like
by 5 times right now per day. It also is the largest driver of our CNC tooling.
Of course. And which is why you made it.
And
right?
I made it it was to kind of announce it at the same time. And I thought, at least I can refer to this, which I do all the time. When people ask, how do I use this tool? I said, hey, you should check out this video. And here's how I would do it for your case. And people are always like, oh, I found you because of this video. And I'm like, I've done this for so long. And like, I finally just did the obvious thing, which is make this stupid video about plywood cutting. And it was really effective. I haven't done more of those videos yet, but that's part of the plan. We need to make one about aluminum and plastic, copy and paste that idea. But like, we kept trying through the year when we would come up to something that was like, should we make this product or this class or something? And I just kept going back to like, well, I'm going to do the obvious thing because I always wrote those things off. And so that's kind of part of it, is follow the obvious thoughts, but also I want to simplify things like our software and the way we run things here. And then the other big factor is I want to start to try to outsource and delegate off of my plate through whatever that means is, whether it's Fiverr, Upwork, a virtual assistant, hopefully AI agents, maybe robots and automation. Like, I think that's probably the biggest factor is like, that's part of my stress of like not having enough time to work, is I'm still way too integral to literally everything we do, except for shipping. That's about the only singular thing that I don't touch anymore. So, the idea for all of that, I guess, which is a bad theme, is flow. I don't know why that's come up for me a few times. The flow of all these things together, just, I don't know. It's a bad theme. Doesn't really make sense.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I think I can think of it like a mantra, but also, ooh, nice. I don't know. It's just, I don't have a good answer. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah. I'm just interested. I mean, it's a good
generic
word. Flow is a good word. It's evocative. Just curious as to what that means to you.
I don't know. I mean, it kind of came from another side project I've been working on, and like trying to make things happen more smoothly regarding like, I mean, emails, and like you were mentioning customer service. And I think there's a big factor to like the amount of my stress is dealing with customer problems about products. Ricky started to help with that, but it's like, that would be really nice to like have somebody else disconnect me from that most of the time. I think it's important to understand some of the problems, but I also think it's bad for my sensibility of making new things to constantly be thinking about the problems. It's just kind of a designer emotional downer. I don't know how to say it. Yeah. I don't know if I have any singular thing. That's kind of my encapsulating altogether.
It's your hot take for next year.
year.
Okay. My hot take for next year, which funnily enough, I had already written down most of this in my paper diary.
Paper diary.
As a little yearly preview of what I want to do for 2025. Because I had done this early in 2024. It was a good thing to do because I hit a fair few of them. Anyway, so my hot take for 2025 is reduce OPEX creep. You know, I did so much work in this year on reducing our operating expenditure. And I'm aware that as the more comfy we get, the more stable we get off the back of that, it's very easy for things to like creep again. And I want to develop some good systems to stay on top of that. Maybe it's just COVID whenever I get COVID annually, which seems to be my trend.
Sure do.
And
maybe it's just like the new flying where it's like I get my best thinking done
business
during
development
COVID.
for the year. Yeah. So yeah, keep on top of OPEX. Sure that we're, feel comfortable jumping into my profit first percentages and tweaking them as we go, because I haven't done any of that. As part of that sort of OPEX reduction, I want to look very seriously at launching my DIY configurator, or as potentially a series of configurators that I've scripted. Keep working on that. Get rid of the existing configurator, potentially. Increase the product mix. Kind of lost sight of that a little bit in kind of the, we've been in damage control most of the year. And we've done really well in terms of product mix. Like web sales at the moment, looking back 30 days, are about as good as they've ever been. The conversion rate's great. But don't, want to sort of really keep that in our sights as making sure that we're headed towards a point where like straight web sales are sort of 80% of our revenue rather than 50%.
Right.
And because, gosh, it's so striking when like some weeks when we get a high percentage of web sales, it is so much easier for everybody. Like, job hits Airtable, John just machines it.
You know what's so interesting about web sales versus job shop work for me is, I mean, the time lag in Shopify, I think it's 3 days from when somebody orders to when I have it in my account, which I don't understand. It should be faster than that, but it's what it is. They want to hold on to my money for a while. But versus a job shop job where you take a deposit and then get paid some weeks later, like I'm never out money for paying for like products and stuff necessarily because of the way we do deposits, but like it's just such a striking difference. If like you have a good web sale day and it's like, oh, money's there.
Yeah.
Product's already gone. You know, like just kind of instant job shop turnaround. It's such a nice lean Toyota flow thing, you know?
Yeah, more of that, please. And my last thing I've got written down is get back on the tools, but just a little bit, not too much.
Just a little bit on the tools. How do you manage that?
Don't. So it's small tools. Jem only gets the Dremel. The PS2. The last week, I have been on the tools quite a lot because, you know, whilst we've managed things pretty well, there was still a bit of a backlog to get done before we finished. So there was a lot of work in Airtable that needed to be finished in the last week, and sort of, like I did a few night shifts and some days on the weekend, and Ben came in on the weekend and helped, and we smashed it out and got it all done. But that's a lie. I was going to say I don't like doing that sort of work, but I do definitely get a rush out of it. I get a kick, because that's how I train myself in this business for the last 15 years of getting a kick out of that sort of last minute thing. But it was just so nice to clean my bench and get some work done and be on the tools. That's something I'd like to work towards. And I told myself in March that I was going to be completely off the tools for at least a year, that this was just recovery mode and I needed to be disciplined and not get bored by being the admin, finance, everything guy. But at the end of the day, I like making stuff, and that's why I started the business. So I just want to make sure I get back there in some capacity.
No, I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, like maybe in the old school, which I've completely lost all sight of, what did you call it? Daily
default diary?
Where you'd have a default diary, like you have just some scheduled time. That never works for me, but
yes,
as much as I would like it to.
I've lost that as well, unfortunately. I would like to get that back. Default diary. I'm going to put that on my list.
Mm-hmm. It always has to be whispered too. Yes. Oh, ASMR. Whew.
Yeah.
Those are good. How do you plan to control your OpEx creep? Is it like a recurring task of reviewing something, or reviewing a budget?
Having some review points in there. Because I take one thing for example. Like I did so much work when I downsized on reducing subscription expenditure. Like, cool, we don't need that license, don't need that. We dropped Fusion Nesting, for example. When that came around, we didn't renew it. And there's a lot of subscriptions in there that were adding up to be a significant amount of money every year. And I'm aware that, I've picked up little things along the way of that's only $9 a month. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. My AI budget keeps going up
and I'm not reviewing it.
Oh, there's a new one. Like I'm probably gonna pay for a coding add-on. I've been trying out Cursor and I really like it. I think it's quite a bit better than Cody. There's also, so here's what's interesting, just a little side tangent. Cursor, super helpful it's a whole separate code editor, which is a little bit daunting, but it's basically taking VS Code as a fork
right.
and then making its own UI on top of it. So you don't really lose anything, which is kind of great, and it's pretty sexy. $20 a month, but you get a free, like, so many completions similar. It's way more than Kodi. And now Copilot's doing the same thing. So, like, theoretically, if you could jump between them, you can get quite a bit of work done for free between a couple of these coding add-ons. It's a little bit messy. I don't know if it's worth saving $20 a month, but I do like it. It's been very helpful.
Great.
I feel like I'm learning, like, how specifically, like I know HTML and CSS pretty well. I would say I could write it myself. It's JavaScript and Python and all this other stuff that, like, usually needs to be involved with the things I'm working on anymore. And it's like, I don't know how to. The cool thing about Cursor that I really like is it sees your whole set of files. So if you have interrelated files, it's not just the one file. It's like, you know, if you're working on a certain type of app, or I don't know, if your configurator has multiple files, but, like, it can tell you where things should go within the whole collection of things, or how other people do it. And,
yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
So you'd rate Cursor over Kodi, in short?
I haven't paid for Kodi, but so far it seems a lot more helpful for what I need. And it has a lot of, like, internet techie developer people really excited.
I did pay for Kodi for a while there, and I found that I was still very reliant on having a secondary model running in Sim Theory as a sort of backup assistant of, like, when Kodi got it wrong, bring the problem over to Sim Theory, push it out in there, and get a second opinion. I
kind of had the same experience, but then as soon as I used Cursor this weekend for a couple hours.
Yeah, cool.
I didn't need anything else. It uses Claude. You can choose your model, kind of like Sim Theory, and it was using the new Sonnet, and it's so freaking good.
What everyone's saying. Yep.
Do you have? I remember you did kind of in the past. Do you have any use for revenue goals at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I but they're weekly, which is, I love it. I love the weekly revenue goal. I'm addicted. Don't care about monthly.
And what's your best way of enacting if you're slow? You just keep churning through your list of leads?
Yeah, like, for instance, I can drop all the transparency, Jam. Let's go. I log into my bank account like 50 times a day, I swear. My revenue goal weekly is around about 20 grand, and it's currently Friday, and my income account is sitting at 13 and a half. So maths, I'm 6.5 short. But if I jump to, and I do distribution sort of Monday afternoon typically. So basically I need to be at 20K by Monday afternoon. But if I jump into my little Numi calculator, which is where I just run my weekly sort of cash flow, manage my weekly cash flow in terms of rough numbers of, like, cool, I know these jobs we're completing, so I'll get the second half deposit on those. And then these are custom deposits that I reckon will win this week, or that are confirmed already. And these are the web payouts from Shopify. So if I look at that, I'm like, cool, all of these have already come in, and I know there's one more payout coming in from Shopify for about 3.5. So I'm about, once that's cleared, I'll be about 5K short. So then in a normal working week, which is now not, I would then jump into Quotient, and I'd look at jobs that need follow-ups, or quotes that need follow-ups. I'd look at my leads, like my lead document in Notion, and look at any sort of hot leads there that I might have forgotten or dropped off my radar. Of like, oh, Kate, you were keen, and I haven't done what you asked for with updating that quote, which you were probably ready to purchase. Like there was one yesterday, I was like, oh, yes, so-and-so in my messages sent me a text saying, oh, can you just do the configuration like this?
That's so hard.
Right. And I got back to her last night with a draft Shopify cart and she converted immediately. So it's like, cool, there's another $1,000 that can go toward this week's budget. So it's just, that's my process basically.
This is the future dream I want. Because I get these people too in Instagram messages and I'm like, great chat. I forget, you get lost in messages. What if you could like forward tag something and send a message to an AI agent that's like, please follow up with Jessica with a quote draft invoice of the thing she wants in this message. And it just like drops in a link from Shopify. God, that would be amazing. Other question, clarity. How you have a leads list in Notion now? Is it just
no, it's
handmade?
Quiet.
Don't let anybody else know.
Yeah. What do you mean? I've had that one for a while. Leads. I really like the leads functionality.
Not in Airtable.
In Quotient. So anyone who submits a form on our website, that goes into...
Yep.
Where does that even go? It's a fill-out form. And then I've got automations that push it to
Airtable, probably.
Quotient as a new lead. And I quite like the functionality of the new leads thing in Quotient. It's very hard to add sort of rich text. So when I'm on the phone to a client chatting through screenshots that they've sent me or something, it's hard to have sort of pictures and have all the information up there in front of me. And so I just ran a second automation that pushes all the info to a table in Notion called Leads, where it's sorted as a database of like new, follow-up, won, declined, lost, etc. So I can jump into something there.
I see.
And I can, obviously Notion's great for a rich text, and I can drop in links and photos and screenshots and whatever. And that's kind of just my working doc for like when I'm on the phone to them or working through something.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Definitely needs some housekeeping in there. It's looking messy.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess what's hard about in the GTD sense, it's like if I make a list like this, one of the phrases I suppose that I've heard and I try to use, it's like, and we try to use them when we were better about using our own little internal task Airtable thing, like in-house projects and stuff, is you can't just put a thing on there that's like, a big crazy thing would be move air compressor, like not that I need to do that, but it's like, you can't do that necessarily. Like you need to do like 5 other tasks. That's not even a good example. Do taxes, right? Like we can't just do the taxes. It's like, I got to do the stock take. You got to prepare all these other aspects. So like you have to break it down into usually singular verbs you can do. You can't just put nouns on there like toilet, like it's got to be clean toilet, buy new toilet cleaning stuff. So it's like, it's probably what I need to do to get these things accomplished. Like, what do I want to do? What is the accomplishable tasks about outsourcing and delegating? It sounds nice, and I don't want to come back a year from now and go, "Well, that was a good idea. Why didn't I do any of that?" It's like, well, I probably have to find the things that actually need to be worked on, I suppose. Enabled.
Yeah, I've got like so many, and as discussed here, like my to-do lists are just overflowing, and heading into the Christmas break now for a couple of weeks, I'm like, oh, look, there's all these things I'd like to tidy up and catch up on, and it's like, no, Jim, you're gonna be like off the clock. Stop it. Stop thinking that this is an opportunity to catch up.
Right. I do that. I've been thinking about that. We have like 2 major projects within one we need to redo, and product world. One of our products needs some revamping, mostly in the manufacturing processes that are like struggling. And I've had this thought a bunch of times. Oh, I have all of Christmas break, but I'm like going to be taking care of my kid with my family in another state.
Yeah.
Like how, like that's not going to happen. Like when am I going to have time? And it's basically like I used to just do these things at night, and now I'm like
So
old enough I don't do that.
such optimism.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, are we going to take a break? Are we going to have a little
Oh, you need. Yeah, sure. Pause?
podcast pause?
Or do you want
No, not now. I mean, over the.
Sure.
How long do you? Work-wise? How do you get a break now? I know it's different in North America.
We are off most
Yeah.
of all next week because like Christmas is midweek and I'll be out of state probably. So yeah, probably not next week because I think Christmas is like we were saying. It's like, well, I guess it's after. I don't know.
let's
What do
take
you
a break.
think? What do you want to do?
I'll be back at work on the 6th. So yeah, we could record once New Year kicks in. See you all again in 2025.
Weird, yeah. Do you want to talk about these things at the bottom, or is
No, I
that
don't
did
know.
you just end it?
Just doing some
'Cause I don't care.
housework. What's it keeping?
Housekeeping.
Oh yeah, there are some things in there. I even wrote some of them.
We don't have to. There's plenty of
Swings and
things.
roundabouts. Can't remember what that means.
It's pissing me off lately. I know that much. I have 2 battery things. Just if we jump off
Do tell.
into air compressor just started up. 2 power related things. It's the time of year when we change the batteries in the mill. There are 4 D-sized batteries in the back that keep the pulse encoders from losing their position, as far as I understand. Basically keeps, you don't home the mill, it just always knows where it is because whatever electronics inside the machine are, when the power is turned off, they need 4 giant batteries. And you change them every year. Otherwise, I don't know what happens. It scares me to think about it. We've done that religiously, and I think it came from an employee that we had that knew of this, as I was like, I don't know what to know about this when we first got the machine. And they're like, you need to change these batteries. So let's do that. Then we made a little reminder for that. We put a sheet on the back of the mill from the manual that tells you how to do it. So I did that 1 week late of a year. But then I was looking on the help desk article we have, and I found that whoever made that article in the first place, which I can't tell anymore,
No.
there's a second battery hidden in the control that I didn't know about and have never touched. This machine is from 2015. I don't think anybody before us touched it, is my guess, because most of the maintenance things seemed lacking because they barely used it. So I have like a 8-year-old battery that I think, according to some friends, should be changed every 3 years roughly. But we're just going to do it every year because it's $23. So I had the battery and I need to do it, but I'm kind of shocked that one holds the controls memory, internal memory from wiping, I guess, which also seems pretty bad. So I don't remember
Do you
where the
do that
backup is for
thing
that at
that
the moment.
Saunders does of like just making a video on your phone of all the offsets in your control?
No.
Right, we do it on
but
the
I
pencil
should.
sharpener, and it's definitely saved our behind a couple of times. Not that we've ever lost everything in the PS, but like sometimes you'll fiddle with offsets to an extent that you're like, oops, I need to backtrack.
I have so many photos on my phone so I found that to be the easiest way was when I would have offsets or something that I was working on, or like tool settings, I would just take photos of it, and I just have like, it'll be like a year ago today, and it's like a photo of the mill offsets, and I'm like, not even like useful ones. It's just for like a one-off project. Delete. The other power thing is we had another power outage early in the week, Tuesday. And feels like it's becoming more common and we just kind of grind to a halt. Like, I know that's probably common, right? Like, but there's just all of our printers were going, which sure, that's obvious. That's going to go off. But I was just trying to figure out, like, what is a reasonable thing to prepare for in a shop like ours where we're largely computer and electrical machine based? Like, what I even asked like Claude about this. I was like, what would you do in our case? Like, you know, it gets expensive to do a lot of nothing for hours. And luckily it was only about an hour, but I was just like, should I get some type of like 1,000 watt hour backup battery that we can plug some 110 outlets into to do something?
It's called a broom, Justin. Just pick
Like-
up the damn broom.
We have a broom.
Damn you.
It runs itself
And it's
daily.
got a battery backup, so you know it keeps running in a power outage.
Yeah, it can run for about an hour and then it
No,
does it before we get in.
no,
You
we
don't
do
have this
have
problem, so I know you're going to be a little tough to
We
talk
have-
about with this.
more than our fair share of power.
You have a
Yeah, but we're
solar
grid
powered
connected. We still go
factory.
down when the grid goes down.
Oh,
No, I'd love a
I see.
solar battery here, but no, too much, too many dollary dues.
I mean, like, I'm not expecting we're going to run the mill and, you know, a bunch of stuff, but like, I don't know. It's probably more of a, like, what can you get accomplished? And I was just thinking, like, yeah, we could put headlamps on and, like, organize some stuff, but, like,
Is your shop dark when the power goes down?
I mean, now we have a couple skylights, luckily, and then we have to have power backup lights that last for not as long as the power's out. But I don't know. Ricky and we started talking about packaging for a new product, which was kind of productive. But like, I was just kind of racing, and it's like I want to have a list as well as like my networking stuff started like beeping, and because I have it on battery backups, it's like we need to have an actual list about like what to do when the power goes out. So I made that list, but like functionally, like what you know. Productively, is it just, should I be worried about this at all? Or like,
Yeah,
it
right.
just seems like it keeps happening.
We've had a few, like we've had way more power outages since we moved to Castlemaine than we used to get in the city. Typically, they're aligned with extreme weather. So I think often it's been the case of like,
Right.
oh, the power's gone out. Well, it's already 40 degrees, so like everyone just go home because this is disgusting. And we manually close the roller doors with the chains and pack up. But yeah, we've never sort of been in a spot.
Yeah.
You know, laptops keep running. We can tether our phones typically, and if you're doing computer work, you can get a little bit more stuff done. But yeah, it hasn't been a major issue, thankfully, to date. Yeah.
I don't know. Just felt like even, so here's like another, I bought a gas generator for my house because I think I mentioned it here, but like we were very concerned with the way that our weather and power things that we were going to lose all of our breast milk, and that stuff is
frozen.
gold,
Yeah.
right? Like when you have an infant. Yeah. And so I bought like a $300 air compressor, or not
I
air
always get
compressor,
them confused
gas
too.
generator. But like
They look the
that
same.
thing, air compressing generator, I think those would exist. And I just was like, that's really not that expensive for our business to have, because it's, you know, I guess I could keep it here, but then, you know, what if you need it? It's just silly. I don't know. Should I have one here that we can then crank it up and run for a couple hours? I don't know. Maybe people have thoughts.
My best case scenario would be to invest in a modest solar battery for the workshop here, so that solar
Yeah, right.
feed in can work overnight, and so we're not grid reliant, or we're not using the grid overnight. We'll always be grid connected, I think, but
Yep.
would basically reduce our power bills to zero across a year. And it would be, obviously really beneficial in power outages in terms of that stabilization. Cool.
Yeah.
But that's a big investment for another day. I think, like lean activities seem like the obvious thing, right? Like clean, sort, standardize, if possible.
We're already perfect though, so I don't.
You just
No. Well, we honestly did look around and we're like, I don't know, like
Wow.
everything's pretty clean. Like we started talking about what we were going to do on our lean day, which we only do like kind of one a year, unfortunately, but
Cool.
we're going to do it on the 30th. And we're kind of excited about some of those things, but it's like, just talking about the lean day isn't like, I guess it's a thing, but anyway, stupid. It feels negligent for how many times it's happened in the last year and a half that I sit there and go, well, I'm not prepared for this to happen again. You know, like, feels stupid.
Yeah, we'll do a lean day early next year in January, I think. Schedule a full day to do some lean-like activities. Did a big tidy up yesterday and the shop looks great, but I've got so many holiday projects I want to get done for the house that I'm about to make a mess of it, I'm sure.
Everybody just comes back and they're like, I do that all the time where I'm like on the weekend, I'm working on some cabinets and I just kind of leave shit everywhere. And I come back and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me clean up real quick. I didn't mean to destroy the shop.
Yeah, that's about to happen, I think. But yeah, we'll do a lean day. And there's there's heaps of stuff out there I want to do. I had a great time actually last January doing that solo. I came in, I
remember that,
by myself and did some very late nights rearranging the shop and moving pallet racking and moving machines. And it was fantastic. Nothing that extreme planned, but a few mods for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's about it. Unless you want to go.
I don't know.
Just make this an epic.
Such a long one. Nah, nothing else, don't think. It's been a good year. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Tell a friend. Watch the YouTube. Put it on for your grandma and just let it go.
Yeah, enjoy your parts department Christmas.
Autoplay. Right now.
Okay, bye. Happy New Year. Bye.